Hey everyone, Dakota Morgan here, host of the Comic Chronicle podcast, coming at you with this interview with Markisan Naso. If you guys enjoy this interview, you guys can check out Backlog, where we've talked to anyone from Marvel, DC, indie comics, actors, writers, artists, all sorts of jazz like that, in our backlog of issues over on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and comicchronicle.podbean.com. But if you like this new video format that we're trying out, guys, stay tuned for more and subscribe on my YouTube channel for video games, Comic Chronicle podcast, Film World podcast, animal videography, cinematography as well. All sorts of jazz. If you guys want to stay in touch, follow me on social media at Dakota Morgan97 on Twitter or at Dakota_Morgan97 on Instagram. And subscribe on, like where I said, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or comicchronicle.podbean.com. Helps us out greatly, folks, if you leave a review too. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And now, without further ado, let's get to my talk with Markisan.
It's going for it. It's starting to think about it.
It just glitched for a second. That was weird.
Avoid legal snags by telling people they're being recorded. That's a thing? That's what Skype just told me on here. Oh my God. Well, you know what? That's a hell of a way to start the podcast episode. Markisan, man, welcome to the show again for number 4, I think. It's third or fourth time, I think, between you and Jason. You guys have been on a lot.
Well, it's great to be back, Dakota. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I always love talking to you.
I love talking to you guys, too. Like, we got to talk more. I mean, in the realm of scheme of things, we were just talking about life changes. You know, fuck all my stuff. You've had the biggest life change. Now, we got each other on Facebook, so we see it, and I'm like, yeah. But you've had the biggest life change. You got out of the Midwest, like I did years ago. But you went even further. You're like, I'm going to go west. How far west? The west you can go.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah, it was a big move, but it's been fun.
Why? It looks like it, dude. I'm a tropical fan. You know, I want to retire in Australia one day. One day, own an animal.
Have you been there?
No, I got lots of friends.
Go there first. Go there first before you decide to move there.
Oh no, you're not. I mean, friends of mine who live there have told me lots of things. Lots of things.
Yeah, I've eaten kangaroo. It's pretty good.
Have you now? I never see. We sold it in Arizona at Sprouts. I don't know. I think they got in trouble for saying that. I don't work there anymore. Fuck them. It's fine. We're good. Yeah, they sold kangaroo there for a while. I've never got myself to try it. I've tried so many other things, but not kangaroo.
Well, I mean, if you go to Australia, you'll probably get some.
You've been to Australia, I'm guessing.
I haven't been there, but I've had.
It seems like you have. What the fuck? You're like, well, you got to go. I've had kangaroo, but like.
Well, I'm saying if you're going to move out to a place, you got to visit it first before you move, because you just don't know. It may seem like this enchanted getaway, you know, the ultimate place for you to retire or live out the rest of your days, but you got to visit it first. I did that with Hawaii as well, because I wasn't sure.
That's true. I mean, you're still in the United States, kind of, quote unquote. I don't know. You technically got out, sir, and I am jealous of you right now. Like, I'm in Arizona where it's not too hot. You know, it's hot, but it's not too hot, and it's not too good in the scheme of humanity. But man,
yeah. Well, I mean, you asked why did we move out here? Well, it's really my wife's work. So she had been coming out to Hawaii for the last few years to help out with projects. She's a structural engineer. Okay. And so they really wanted her to move out here and be part of the office out here. She works for a company where they have offices all over the world, really.
Yeah.
So, you know, they just gave her an offer we couldn't refuse. And we only had to come for a limited time. If we like it, we can stay. If not, we can move back. You know, they paid for all the move and everything. So, why not have an adventure? You know, at the very least, we get like an extended vacation and get to see all the islands, and then we could go back. Or, you know, we just really fall in love with the place and we want to stay and make a home here. So far, I mean, we have the pandemic, so that kind of puts a damper on things. But I'm really happy we're here, actually, with all the things that are happening in the world. This is a great place to be. Yes, we're part of the United States, but it feels like we're in another country. A lot of the stuff that happens in the U.S. just doesn't touch here. Like, there's no racism here.
No, which I've heard, and you're not in the news. Like I thought about it beforehand when I was talking to my girlfriend. Shout out to you, love you, Michaela. And I was like, he's in Hawaii, and we're thinking she's like Hawaii. I'm like, yeah, he was from the Midwest too. We're both Illinois boys, and I was sitting there thinking, like, my God, they're not in the news. And she's like, no, they're not. Is Hawaii alive? It's like, are they good? Like somebody made a joke in April, I think, or yeah, it was the end of April. Somebody made a good meme. You might have saw this because we're in the same social groups. Hey, did anybody check in on the Amish? Tell them what's going on. Oh, that's true. Yeah, shit. But yeah, man, like it's easy for you too. Like, okay, I want to clarify things first. So when I moved to Australia, because I really want to go, the hat kind of gives it away because I've been working with wildlife animals, all sorts of different ways. And I'm going to hopefully start to get to work with sharks in a little bit here if things go right. It's going to be fun. And make comics. Yeah, so that's like the perfect place to retire, like I get to work with animals and such like that. So that's my defense. I wanted to put that out there, my defense. I'm going to go straight forward. I want to kill you.
It's not a good you still got to visit, because I've been to a lot of places I didn't know that I would love so much. Like my favorite place I've ever been is Norway. And I wanted to go there. Cool.
Yeah.
I would live there in a second. But, I didn't know that. And then going there and seeing it and just being a part of that culture and talking to the people and just enjoying life there for a couple weeks, then I fell in love with it. So Hawaii, I came out a few times when Tracy was coming out for business trips, so I could kind of get to know the area, and I drove around and, because it's very different than Chicago where I came from. So.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I like, man, sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't. But, I got to say, though, is right off the bat, so we're here to talk about something that you guys mentioned to me last time we talked, you and Jason both, because I think it was both you guys on the podcast talking about Voracious. Oh, we got this project in the works, sort of thing like that. I got to say, man, I love you and Jason both, but I fucking hate you too because you always hit me in the feels every time. I just read the book right before we started because I'm like, wait. Awesome. And you can tell people the name of it now, but I was reading, I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, the death. I'm like, oh man, he gets me in the feels every time. You do. I don't know what it is. You hit me in them feels. You're like, oh, this is cool world building. Oh, we got sci-fi fantasy sort of thing. This is awesome. Next thing you know, your heartstrings are pulled with like cool shit, but then also like emotions and stuff like that. I had to get that out there because, man, I love your writing so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
Like 4 years.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, whenever I write a book, I want people to be emotionally connected to the characters in some way. That's my main goal, especially that first issue. So hopefully I accomplish that with our new book. It's called By the Horns, sci-fi fantasy. So, to me, that's the most important because I read a lot of comic books and sometimes if I don't identify with the characters in that first book or I want to take that journey with them, I don't really want to continue the book. So for me, that's the most important part. Obviously, you have the overall story and a lot of cool parts to it, action and all that.
Yeah,
the characters is what matters the most to me, especially in establishing them.
I'll give it this, though. It was weird reading a book by you two because I love Jason's art and I love your writing. And it was weird reading a book and the blood was mostly blue and different color. It wasn't red. And I'm like,
right. There's magic. Yeah.
It's different from science and dinosaurs, which, man, love that. Yeah. Love Voracious. And I still got to say officially on camera, thank you for putting me in Voracious, you two.
Oh, yeah. No, our pleasure. Oh. It was hard keeping that a secret, but we wanted you to be surprised. We wanted to tell you. We just wanted you to read it because we know how much you love reading it. And
Jason,
find it.
Jason gave me the big tease. I don't know if he told you or not. I was texting him like, man, congrats on Voracious. Yes, he did. He teased me. He cock teased me so bad because he's like, oh, let me know when you read the new issue. I want to see what you think. And I'm like, what? All right. So I bought the issue and I just read it in my car when I got it from the bookstore. And all of a sudden, and I text him, you son of a bitch. Like, why? You tease. Oh, man. That was cool. I got to get it framed and put it up here. But, man, it's because I love you guys and what you do. You guys are like the...
Oh, we can get you... for that, I don't think we've done this. We could get you a high-resolution version without the text. And then you can... Oh! If you want.
I'll take that, yeah.
That.
That's Jason. Yeah, that's no problem. Jason, if you're listening or watching, you will know.
You better
Probably are.
listen to this.
Yeah, you'd think. You'd think. But and I don't want to seem like I'm the Strokey guys too much, but I'm saying like you guys have been really one of my favorite comic duos because there's people that when you work, like people said it with me and Paul Trinidad, who I've now been working with, God, a year now, a little over a year, we've been doing comics. And it's that sort of thing when you find people when they work, hit the mic, professional as always. When you guys find people that work, you really tend to know because the art fits the writing, storytelling sort of thing like that. And kind of real fast, because I know maybe people who are listening first time, where did you and Jason meet? Obviously in Illinois, but where did you guys meet at all in this? Just I know, but maybe listeners don't know.
Well, we met at a comic shop, actually. When I moved to Illinois from New York, I had to find a comic book store, of course, because I'm a lifelong comic book reader. And Jason was working in that store at the time. It was Graham Crackers Comics, and they have maybe like 7 or 8 locations in Illinois. And
9 or 12 now,
there. Oh, is it really? Yeah, it's just to keep growing. Well, maybe not now with the pandemic. I have no idea, but
yeah, that's true.
I mean, so I met him there, and he was pretty young. It was right before he went to college, and I just got to know him there. And at the time, I was trying to write comics. Not very seriously then, but there was a contest online somebody put up to write a story for The Authority, which was a book in the, I guess, early 90s, mid 90s. And so I wrote a story, and I ended up winning that contest to write the script. So I gave the script to Jason because from talking to him, I knew he wanted to make comic books. So I gave him the script, and he actually drew a few pages, and then he was off to college. And then I didn't see the kid again for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years or something like that. And then,
about that.
It's a long time. I wouldn't say we were friends. I mean, we knew each other, and I saw him in the shop all the time and talked to him and stuff, but we weren't really good friends or anything back then. But another guy who ran the comic shop, the manager of the comic shop, 10 years later decided he wanted to try to do a comic book, and he asked me and another friend to start writing on it with him. And so we started working on it, but it just didn't really work out to have 3 writers. Just we all wanted different things.
Yeah, that seems like a molding pot in a soup bowl with too much soup.
Right. But Bobby, who was the manager, he was still in touch with Jason, and he had given Jason some of the ideas that we had come up with. And so Jason did some drawings based on those ideas, and I got to see those. But I decided to leave the project because there's just too many writers, and I told Bobby, it's your basic idea. If you want me to look it over, I'm happy to do that. But, I don't think I'm going to go forward this project. And then that project kind of fizzled out. But I had other ideas for comics, and I saw Jason's art. And so I decided to contact him. It's like, listen, this project that we were working on with Bobby and our other friend, it wasn't working out, but I have some other ideas. Do you want to maybe get together and maybe we could talk about them? Maybe we can work on a comic together. So that's what we did. We went out, we had lunch, and I pitched him a few ideas, and we both really wanted to do Voracious. And I actually gave Jason back the original drawings that he did of The Authority.
Really?
Years ago. And he forgot that he had even done them. So I saved him all that time. So from there, then we just started working on the book, and then we just became good friends. And I love working on comics with that guy.
Yeah. I bet he's an amazing guy. I mean, I really, you two are. And I want to say too, is you guys are hustlers because
in Zoom.
Well, there we go.
Because when I do like Metalheads podcasts and stuff, we've been using Zoom.
By the way, okay, so we're recording now and we're good. And I do want to, I can say this on record. I love the Metalheads podcast. You guys are good. I wanted to get to that. And, that's a good segue to that. Thanks, guys. But I love metal. You do so much fun stuff too, man. You're all over the place as well. So I guess moving to Hawaii, though, didn't really affect too much of making comics with Jason because it's all online. So you got Zoom, you got everything like that, too. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't affect too much. Because, when I was in Chicago, Jason lived out in the suburbs. So I didn't see him as much because it was like an hour and a half that we were apart. So sometimes we would schedule meetings and have lunch and stuff, and because we like to talk about all the characters and kind of develop everything together, get all our ideas out there. And Yeah, I come up with the basic idea, of course. Well, more than basic, but I want Jason to have input and give me his suggestions, and then we talk about all that stuff, characters, designs, story, and then that's when I start working on the scripts after that. So we like to have those kind of sessions, but we can do that. Well, we did that for By the Horns because it's been in the works for a while.
It's been what, a year? I think maybe 2.
It's been longer than that.
Has it really?
Yeah. These things. It's funny how fast it goes. When I've had the initial idea.
Yeah.
But you have to find the right timing too, because we were doing Voracious, and I had the idea and many more ideas while we're doing that book. And then Jason, he can't just do a creator-owned book. He has to take a break and then work on something else.
Yeah.
He's done books for Zenescope where he gets paid for that, because the creator-owned books, you just don't make money. So
sadly, yeah. Sadly, that's the way it goes in that sense of things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why comics is kind of tough. Like I got my creative-owned books, but it's for a company, so it makes it a little bit easier. But it's tough. I guess it's a way to put it there, but worth it in the end. Like we should let people know, like, is it all boo 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 boo? No, it's actually fun. It's actually you enjoy what you do and you do it because you love it, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast. We really wanted to work on something very different than Voracious, and I love fantasy, and so I always wanted to do that. And we had actually worked on a few books. Our idea was we were going to do a few books, pitch all of them, and then see which one sticks. But some of them just kind of fell by the wayside, and we just decided we wanted to do this one the most.
It makes sense. I mean, and it works. And that's what, like I was saying, the things about being different. Like, Voracious was different from most comics, especially at the time. And then now, By the Horns is different too. Like, you get that sci-fi fantasy sort of thing, which you don't often see. I don't think anymore. Like, you did for a little bit. Maybe mid-2000s, there was something going on there. Maybe I'm just, like, I was in a deep pop culture hole at that point. But, I don't know. Like, you don't see too many sci-fi fantasy things too much anymore.
No, and the book was originally just straight fantasy, and then when we started coming up with it, and well, actually, you've seen in the first issue, Jason he always does like a sketchbook at the end because we like adding extras, and he kind of shows the evolution of the character and talks about what it started with. So it was a pure, just straight fantasy, and then over time, I just thought about it some more, and I wanted to incorporate technology and change the look and have it just be a little bit different than what you see, more like a Final Fantasy type thing. You see it in video games, but you don't normally see it in comics as much.
Sometimes movies, sometimes TV shows. I gotta say though, I want a plushie of that panda. I'm just gonna. I know. I'm just gonna say though, the merch you guys can make for this stuff is insane.
Oh, dude, we don't have a plushie in the works, but. That doesn't mean we wouldn't, but we have some really cool merch in the works that nobody's done before. So.
Man, okay, well, make one for the panda. I know we can't spoil anything about it, but please put a booze bottle in his hands because he seems so depressed and sad. Have him drinking something, and he's like, what is that from? Oh, that's from a really cool comic series.
Yeah, his name's Gary Panda. I don't think we named him in the first book, but Gary Panda.
Yes. Man.
Yeah, and a red panda, too.
He's a red panda. I didn't want to spoil it too much. But you said it's not me, so we're okay.
Yeah, he's a character that appears in the first book, so you don't know that much about what's going on.
Yeah. Well, is the first book even out yet? Or is it about to be? Oh, I feel special. Thank you.
Oh, no, it's not even coming out till next year. So
Jesus, really?
Probably February.
God.
2021. So
was it because of COVID, or was it like just normally scheduled?
No, I mean, I don't know if you've followed Scout much, but they have a lot of books coming out. They
do. They do. Yeah.
I scouted them like earlier on because I just thought that they.
No, you're off the show. you can't make that fun on you.
I just did air quotes. Yeah, no, they were the publisher I really wanted to go with the most, just because I felt like they had some momentum behind them. So when we pitched the book, they weren't even announcing all this stuff, and now they've got a kids line, they got a horror line that they're going to be launching. They have all these new books coming out. So I'm really excited about the possibilities with Scout because they're really putting everything into the comics and their line, and so yeah, it's going to be fun.
Man, I don't know. Like I can't. Yeah, damn it, we did this too early. No, I'm kidding. Because I can't.
Well, I mean, you can always
anything.
hold it out.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. A whole year. We recorded this a year ago. What happened? Humanity was alive.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's almost September. You know,
Yeah,
so it's not that many months, but so yeah, it wasn't. We've got 3 issues done now.
That's pretty good.
So I mean, I like to get at least 4. Like we're doing 6 issues for this series, so I'd like to get at least 4 done before. So I have us on a pretty tight schedule. You know, Scout likes to have at least 3 issues completed before they decide that they're going to put it on the schedule. So I think they'll probably decide when it's going to come out, but it's looking like it's probably going to be February. But I don't know the exact release date yet.
Sweet. Well, what can you tell us about the series, though, man? Because I'll let you try to describe the series, so you may get in trouble and not me, because I don't want to.
Yeah, my series are always a little bit oddball, so and this one is no exception. But yeah, it's about a hunter named Elodie, and she hates unicorns because her husband was trampled by a herd of unicorns, and so she's just very angry, and she just wants to kill all of them on this continent of Solithus.
I love it.
And so she gets kicked out of her village very early on because all she wants to do is kill things. She's just been killing monsters with horns because she can't find these unicorns. They're very elusive. And so her and her like half wolf, half deer companion named Sajin, they go on an adventure. They get kicked out, and then so they're going to look for unicorns, and stuff spirals from there. They get involved in something that it's a lot bigger than just that kind of a selfish concern that Elodie has, that this idea of vengeance that she wants to exact.
Exactly. And you didn't really spoil anything in there. I'm very proud.
Yeah,
that's it. Well, I do want to say is I thought about it when I was done reading right before I gave you the call, and I was thinking, man, this is like a really good intro to a D&D game. It really feels like it, like a good campaign. Like it feels really like a D&D campaign. And did you guys take an inspiration from that at all? Or was it kind of like you got the standard motif of sci-fi, kind of some fantasy as well, the standard motif of fantasy like you guys were going for in the beginning? Was it that, or did you take inspiration from a lot of different things? I'm very curious.
I mean, I love D&D. I think it was more video games. It's more of the RPG type games. You know, obviously we don't want to make a game out of it, but elements of a game and that storytelling I wanted to make in this. And you see a lot of fantasy books, and they're super long. They're, they take years and years to finish. And I don't know. I feel they're kind of slow and they're kind of dragged out. And I wanted to be able to build a world, a fully realized world, and tell it in like 6 issues and have it move fast. I wanted to do like an action fantasy with heart, So, and I feel like you kind of get that in some video games. I mentioned Final Fantasy, but there's other really good games out there too. So that's what I was kind of going for. And you'll see in the book, like it's almost like we do bosses. Sometimes the way we introduce villains, you don't see it in that first issue, but it's almost like bosses when you encounter a video game. And then we do some fun things, like we did a map, which I really like, a travel map. So as Elodie and Sajin go across the world, you'll see, where they're going and where they're stopping. And she kind of writes notes about creatures she encounters. So we want to try to create a lot of different creatures. And one of the things we actually thought about doing, we might still do, is Jason's idea, and I thought it was great. He wants to do Magic the Gathering style cards where it has like different characters on it, and we would give them out for free to comic shops. So to fans. So we're working on it.
That would be brilliant, and that would work. Knocking on wood, the comic shops is still open by the time this happens because COVID.
Yeah, we think it'd be a good promotion. It'd have creatures and probably some of the main characters on one side. On the back, it's like pre-order the book, and it would have the number from previews or whatever to get it. So yeah, and we would get different artists to do the creatures and everything like that if we could. So
Yeah.
it's something we're working on. One of the promotional ideas. But yeah, so Magic the Gathering, video games. I guess there's a little bit of D&D in there. I'm starting to get into more of that stuff now because there's a Hellboy role-playing game coming out.
Really?
Yeah, it's on Kickstarter now.
Oh shit!
And, I just got one. There's a really good one called Mork Borg, and it's basically a heavy metal dice rolling game, like a heavy metal D&D. And what I like about Mork Borg is that it's shorter, it's easier to play. It's not as long.
That is nice.
It's kind of like what we're doing with this book. So hopefully we pull it off. We can do it in 6 issues, and have a complete fantasy story where you feel like you're immersed in a world in a way that a book that's going for like 40 or 50 issues, you still feel that way and care about the characters. But
now I don't know if you can say anything about this because I know you and Jason like doing shorter runs. Almost nice mug, by the way. But I know you guys like doing shorter runs in the sense like you were even just mentioning like 6 issues or something like that. Is there a certain amount that you guys have planned for this, or is it only like we go forever, or is it like I have 8 issues in mind and we're capping it at that?
Well, it's going to be 6. I mean, I think I could probably tell more stories with the characters. It's not like Voracious. Voracious, I knew was going to be at least 3 volumes. I didn't know that we would be able to complete that because we were new creators, and you just don't know if that book is going to sell on the marketplace. And fortunately, people picked it up and enjoyed it and keep buying it. So we were able to do that.
Yeah. No, I donated to every Kickstarter. I want that to be known.
Every single one. That. I mean, without the fans picking up the book, we would not have been able to do the 2nd volume and the 3rd volume. So, and it didn't look like we were going to be able to do the 3rd volume in print for a bit, but then I don't know, just sales start coming in, rolling in, and they gave us the green light. So with this book, I wanted to try to do more of a complete story in a certain number of issues. And so I was thinking like 5 or 6. Jason lobbied for 6, or I'm sorry, for 5, but I was like, we got to do at least 6.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is a lot of detail in the art. I think we can make it to a 5. We're making it 6. Oh fuck. Oh no.
I mean, what it is really, it's when you're comic creators and you're not making money, you're doing this out of pure love. Yeah. Jason has to draw a page every single day, and he's doing 6 issues. So it's like 6 or 7 months of him drawing this book and not getting paid for it. Now, maybe it comes out, we have a lot of merch and everything, and we'll get money for it. We have a better deal with Scout than we did with Action Lab. So maybe we'll make some money, but on that front end, he's not making any money. So he can only do like 6 is his limit. He's like, I'll do 6 issues, but after that, I have to go and do like paid work. I have to do like freelance because I just don't have time for what I'm drawing, and it makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's why I try to make deadlines and everything, and I think people don't understand that part of it. Like with Voracious, when it came out, there were gaps in between the series, and that's because Jason could do 5 issues, and then he's got to do something paid to make money to live.
He's got to eat, people. It's very nice to eat these days. I'm just saying, you got to also have a roof over the head because if you're going to quarantine, it's best to have that.
So I think people just don't get that. I see it in reviews like, oh, it took a while to come out. Well, yeah, it took a while because we can't we want to put all of our energy into the book when we can do it. But it means taking a break and doing something else for especially for Jason. I mean, I also have other things too, but it's easier for me to write, a few pages and send it to him. Yeah. For him to draw it, that's a lot of time. And he also letters the book, he does the design for the book,
A lot of work. Well, that's the thing too. I mentioned it on an interview not too long ago, and we had a guy on from Marvel, and we were talking about it. We both talked about, but I'll say it again here with you: is it takes time to make comics, folks. It's not done. Some people keep telling me, they're like, "Oh, they're done in a month or 2 months, and it's ready to print and ready to go in stores." Like, I love your fantasy world, but no, I would love that, and it'd be really nice to have the writer, artist, ink, letter, all that stuff done and printed to all the stores. Yeah, no. No, it doesn't work like that. And people always say it does. And I don't, and the people who read comics say it does. I'm like, oh. But besides the point, people are weird.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making money from comics and you're working for the big publishers, it's easier for you to get those books done faster because you're getting paid for it. You're going to get a check. But when you're starting off and doing indie books, most creators, they're just doing it out of pure love. They want to get out there and put work out that they believe in.
Yep.
And tell stories, and so you're sacrificing other things in order to make those books. And
Exactly.
we're happy to do it, but at the same time, we have to schedule it in a way that makes sense.
It's true. Well, I'm curious, though, because fans may be wondering. You mentioned other things and whatnot too, and I'm curious, what other things do you have going on at the moment? Is it comics related? Is it the podcast and whatnot? Because I mean, you've mentioned another podcast already too, but like, tell fans, like, what are you up to?
Well, I actually wrote a short story for an anthology recently.
Sure.
I'm really excited about it. It's prose, and so it's for Outland Entertainment. They actually put out comics too, but they do a lot of books as well. And the story is called To Megatherion, and it's about a dinosaur barbarian king in his final days. And so.
Amazing.
Yeah, they did a Kickstarter for it. It's called Apex World of Dinosaurs. And there's a Hugo Award-winning writer in that book, and I'm in there, and just a bunch of really cool writers doing different stories about dinosaurs, all different kinds of stories. And so I'm really excited about that because I haven't written prose in a really long time. And I got invited to do this because my editor, Alana, she's really cool. She contacted me because she liked Voracious so much. And she's like, we're doing this dinosaur book. Would you be interested in writing a story for it? And I actually really liked writing that story more than I thought I would. I really enjoy comic books, but I didn't know that I would get into writing prose as much. So I'm excited about that. It's about like 25-page story or something that's in there. So that book's coming out at the end of the year. And I actually I have a really cool promotional piece ready for that too, like some extra merch to celebrate
Sure.
to celebrate the release of that. But that hasn't been announced yet. But I'm doing a lot of collaborations, and I'm really excited about those. Just because, like you said, I do a lot of other things, and one of them is the Metalheads podcast. I love talking about metal with my friends every month on the Metalheads podcast, and but that's yielded a lot of I've made a lot of friends and bands, and on the music side of things that I didn't expect to do, but it's been awesome and really rewarding. So I got that coming out.
I'm expecting
and
some soundtracks here pretty soon for like every comic. Here's the soundtrack.
Maybe.
Cool. By the Horns is very heavy metal. I'm thinking that right now. I'm being honest. Like, you're swinging, killing monsters. That's heavy metal right there. Monster Hunter game missed out. They really did.
Yeah, actually, we did a full map for the book, and all the places on the map are named after metal bands. So
you guys are the king of Easter eggs. I swear to God, you guys are like, Ready Player One, full of Easter eggs. Markisan's and Jason's book, full of Easter eggs.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like in the very beginning, the name of the continent is Solithus. That's a metal band. The name of her village, Wayfarer, also a metal band. They got an album coming out this year, actually. And in the Valley of Chemist is my favorite metal band. So, but you'll see a full map, and every single one, except for I think maybe one or two spots, maybe just one. All the other names are metal bands, just to give a shout out to bands I really like. I picked bands that I thought would actually make good names for places as well, but I just basically went through my catalog and like, oh, that's a good name for a place.
Yeah, like, hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty awesome. All right, yeah. I can do this. Well, if it helps, I do the same. Like names of characters, most of them. Some of the newer. Okay, what can I say without getting in trouble? Some book series, most of my earlier series that I've been doing for a while, and some that are about to come out soon, hopefully. A lot of people's first names or last names, and then I'll combine with looks, and some of them are based off people in my life. So I can go on record and say that. I don't think I've ever said that before. So like close friends, family, you guys, you and Jason are going to be in hopefully the next issue. We'll see. of Operation Kaiju Shield. So you guys may or may not be eating my monsters. Besides the point, Kaijus may or may not get you. So I mean, it's that thing too. Like I think when you make comics, especially creative-owned stuff, there's that leeway people don't often talk about, or not leeway, freedom that people don't often talk about. And they're like, oh, I got to do this, oh, it was yada yada. But there's so many things you can put into it that make it so much more fun to write or draw and ink, and maybe even create further books and whatnot that people don't often say. And they're like, yeah, I got to do this because I really like this sort of thing, so I put this in here as a storyline. People don't have to mention that. I think it's kind of a crime that they don't.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful with some of that stuff, because I remember, I think like Todd McFarlane got sued for putting like the likeness of some hockey player or something in his books, but but just putting out names of stuff, it's pretty not, I wouldn't say generic, but it's it's pretty harmless.
Yeah, it's tribute.
Yeah, tribute. That's a good word.
Yeah, see. So, I mean, man, there's so much more I want to talk about by the horns, but I mean, when creating that world, what'd you kind of dive into with that? I mean, you've kind of mentioned a little bit of the inspiration, but when you're creating that world, I'm very curious as a world creator, what kind of did you dive with? Was it the video games, or was it the more on the fantasy side? Like, what'd you kind of take stuff from?
People ask that. I just make shit up. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it just comes from me. There's not any particular inspiration. I usually start with an idea. Yeah. And the idea was, here's this warrior who gets kicked out of a village because she wants to murder unicorns and doesn't want to do any chores in the village. And then it just spirals from there. I was like, okay, well, what would her life be like? Should she have somebody with her? Why is she so angry for at unicorns? Well, is she going to encounter unicorns? What happens? So there's another, I don't want to spoil everything, but there's another hook in the book that I really wanted to do. So it's just a matter of figuring that stuff out as I'm going through the series. And then, when I'm writing it or just working on the pitch or just the main story ideas, it's almost like, oh, this kind of feels like a video game, or this kind of feels like that. But I didn't take any direct inspiration from anything. It's just stuff swirling around in my head, And as I write it, I just get more and more ideas on what I want to do with it. And so, like I said, it originally started out straight fantasy, and then just I would dream about it and just think about the story. And then I was like, I see it differently now, and I saw more technology. And and then things change, when I talk to Jason and things change. Like Sajin, I originally had him talk. He's a half deer, half wolf. Yeah. But Jason's like, what if you talk like with telepathy? What if you could just talk in people's heads? I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like, this is not really a spoiler, but I appreciate it. I thought it was kind of cool. It was like, oh, it's all magic right now. Then here's an electric sign. Oh, that's kind of neat. I like that. That's cool. That's really cute. It's the fine details like that you got to appreciate a little bit. Like, we're magic and fantasy, but here's a light up sign. I have a gun. Like, oh, okay, well, it works. It all works.
Yeah, I thought that'd be cool. You don't see that often. People with guns,
No, you don't. I think D&D does it, if I remember correctly, but nobody. I'm gonna get so much shit for that. People are gonna be like, I use a gun in D&D. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I play D&D, but I always play as Dragonborns. What do you want?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mix. I like to mash the genres together. I did that a lot with the Voracious and this one too. And it's kind of fun to think, okay, we're in this fantasy world. This situation's happening. What would they do with technology? What technology would they have? Or what fantasy element should I bring into this part of it? And how do I mix that so it seems kind of seamless? And so that's been fun to do. Definitely gives me a wider palette to work with. And just I get just new ideas of how to put those things together, and that's been really fun, actually. Not challenging at all, and it's freeing actually, because you can do anything you want. You've got technology and fantasy, and You just come up with crazy devices or weapons, or it's really fun.
It's true. It's true. There's so much creative freedom with it. That's why I love it so much and love you guys' books, because you can tell there is creative freedom. Like hell, Voracious could have a spinoff if you wanted to. I'm gonna put that out there, but hey, that could be a spinoff.
Well, we mentioned 2 spinoffs in the last book. So in the letters page, we mentioned it. I already have 2 stories ready to go for spinoffs of that, but Jason and we just wanted to try to do something different.
Take a break from it, yeah. A new storyline,
and just different genre. And I've got other books in the works that are completely different. I've got a all ages graphic novel that I want to do. I have a horror book I want to do. I have a really big sci-fi book that would be probably like 40 or 50 issues that I would love to do. Jeez. And I actually thought of a Western the other day, which you don't see very many Westerns, but I have a really good idea for a Western.
Man, that's funny. I do too, actually. I was in the shower and I was thinking of an idea, and I yelled for my girlfriend, like, hey, what do you think of this idea? She's like, what? And I'm like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Them shower ideas, man. Holy shit, you get a lot. But I thought about it. I'm like, what if you combine cowboys with this? She's like, that's good. I'm like, really? Like, yeah. You need to call people and tell them. I'm like, okay, do I save it? She's like, yeah, save it. I'll tell you after the podcast, because I'm very curious. And if ours match up, I swear we're on the same wavelength there, man. I swear. But yeah, that's cool. Oh, man, I was going to ask you too, like, is there comics after? But apparently, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I always have comics in different stages in the works. Like, I have I think I had probably like 15 ideas where I've outlined the ideas.
Ooh.
But I like to work on like one comic at a time, I think. I just like to put all my energy into the one thing. I don't do comics to make money. I don't care about being famous or getting. It's great to get good reviews. I love doing interviews. I love that people get something out of the books. That's great. But I do it because I just have stories that I want to tell, and it's fun.
Yeah, you enjoy it.
Yeah. So I don't need to do like a bunch of comics or break into Marvel, or I don't. That stuff doesn't. That's not something I want to do. If something comes up and I get the opportunity, maybe I would consider it, but it's not a goal for me. My only goal really is to tell really good comic book stories. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it.
I like it, man. I like it. Like, there's so much more, and I think we should come to an end here, because otherwise you and I are going to spoil some stuff, because I don't want you to get NDAs going on here. But there's so much more to stories to tell, and it's good that you have stories to tell. Like, it's good that you're like, man, after this, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and you hit that blank spot. You're like, man, what the hell? But you're like, I have stories ready to go. I'm waiting on companies to say yes. I'm waiting on the pitches, that sort of stuff like that. Which you and I both know that can take a long time to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've had luck with the pitches. Usually when I'm ready to go on a story and then I'm getting ready to pitch it. I'll pitch the story, and we've gotten feedback pretty much right away. For Voracious, we did. I guess we waited a little bit longer, but we had a publisher for Voracious early on, and then it just didn't work out, and then we retooled. So that's why that took longer. With By the Horns, it was pretty fast, and I actually was concerned about it because we pitched it right before the pandemic hit.
Oh,
and then they're like, man, I don't know if people are going to get back to us. And I mean, a couple of people got back to us. You always get rejection for things just because it might not fit with the company or whatever. Although I was surprised because I feel like our book is really cool. So we got a couple of those, but like I said, Scout was the one I actually really wanted to publish with the most, just because it'd be great to get in with the Image or something like that, but I feel like you almost get lost sometimes in that because they have so many heavy hitters. They actually concentrate more on the heavy hitters, the people who've been around, have a big fan base. So I like to get in on those like kind of upstart companies where they're growing, and I didn't know if Scout was going to grow this much. But I feel like I had an amazing foresight.
Because it's true. You're just all of a sudden, I'm not going to lie, Scout has been coming back. Like, we're not even coming back. They've been coming forward with
They're coming on, man.
They came at it. They're like, pandemic what? I got nothing. Like, we're still going. We're still powering through. Man,
I mean, I think they've had the most announcements of any comic book company during this pandemic, and I think it's really cool that they're.
I'm gonna say no to that, but they've had the most good announcements from during the whole pandemic.
Who do you think's had the most announcements?
DC.
Oh,
They've done the
yeah.
most announcements of stuff. Probably Marvel too, but a lot of DC have been bad announcements.
I don't even consider those. I consider the indie books. But yeah, I guess you're right.
I love it. I love it. Markisan. I love you, man.
Because
You're like DC. Oh yeah.
Well, no, we have an announcement. This is the 666th cover of Death Metal.
Really?
No, I'm being.
No, I know. I'm rolling with it. Yeah. Yeah, like I gotta think. There's been so many announcements lately in comics, but a lot have been, we're not doing Diamond anymore. We're not doing this anymore.
No, I mean of indie comic book publishers.
Well,
I feel
too.
like Scout is really doing it.
Yeah, Scout's doing it. So this may give me some flack, but I've gone on record and said it before. Most of the time, I like indie a lot more. I really do. I still love Marvel and DC, but indie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's so much more you can do with indie. Like shit, what was it? Scott Snyder's indie book. I guess you could say quote unquote indie. Undiscovered Country. Did you read that yet?
No.
Read it, sir. It fits in your motif so much of like on the storytelling. Like it seemed like it was kind of your style of writing. Like, what if America closed itself off? What would happen? And like they put borders up. No communication. The military that was outside, they would say, "Hey, bye, see you later." And they put guns up and all sorts of like nobody has any communication. What would happen? Turns out a lot of genetic modification, a lot of space travel shit, like some weird time stuff, nukes going off, like all sorts of weird stuff like that. It's cool. It's really cool.
Okay. Give it a shot. I'm excited about his book Nocterra. That's
true.
Coming out from Image. That looks cool with Tony Daniel.
Yeah.
It was called Nocturnal, but then they just changed the name to Nocterra.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. There's been so many good ones. I mean, you got Basket Full of Heads. That's a good one too. And then there was Paper Girls. But a lot of my books, like a lot of indie books, I'm like, hey, you guys should read this. For many months, people will go, nah, I don't need to read that. That sounds weird. Next thing you know, Amazon picked it up for a TV show. Oh, and everyone's reading it now. Oh, Dakota, you read this book? Yeah, I'm reading this book. 5 months ago. Where have you been?
Yeah. No, I mean, and I like the big two too. I mean, my favorite book probably right now is Hellblazer, which just got canceled. But there's a campaign to keep it alive, which is unusual for comics. But I'm glad.
Yeah.
There's a petition, and Neil Gaiman signed it. And
did he really?
Book amazing. Yeah, the book's amazing.
Oh, shit. Well, now they got this new not Hellraiser, but they got new. It's Constantine, I think. They're just calling it John Constantine coming up. So that's why that one's going to be a little bit tough. They got a new series of Tom Taylor on it, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's like a 3-issue series or something. Yeah. Come with Derek Roberts. Yeah. Yeah. It's a mini series.
It's not the same, though. It's not going to be the same. You know it.
I mean, I think I'm looking forward to that. That should be pretty cool. But
yeah.
Hellblazer's a character where I feel I love the Vertigo series. And then after that, they tried to bring him into the DC universe, and it just felt like it was watered down John Constantine. It just never kind of hit. And then they just started doing that Sandman universe and brought Hellblazer into that. And this run now feels like it's a continuation of the Vertigo series. He feels like the Constantine I know and love, because he's one of my all-time favorite characters in comics. So, these stories that the team has been telling on there, I think they're some of the best Hellblazer stories ever, really. Cy Spurrier, the artist. There's 2 different artists that are on there. Great. Campbell and I forget the other artist that was on the original book, but great. So I mean, I don't read as many comics as I used to, but there's lots of good gems out there.
It's true. It's very true. We're coming near the end of the show though, but I'm really curious on your side of things. Is there we talked about some of the stuff maybe coming up and whatnot for you, but is there a certain subject or a certain genre that you're like, I want to write something, but you don't have a story, like maybe that you haven't touched yet, that maybe one day you want to? Because you've touched upon a lot.
A genre that I want to write that I haven't done or haven't done or I'm not working on. I don't think so. You know, I would love to do like a book in underwater.
Really?
Yeah.
That was right. Like the underwater, like anything, or like
just something with the sea. You know, I want to do something. I think maybe it's kind of inspired by being here in Hawaii, because you know, I'm just surrounded by ocean. It's just something that has to do. I don't know if that's a genre, some kind of a seafaring book, but
yeah, it's not genre, but it's a style, I guess.
pirate book, maybe some
a
kind
pirate
of
book. Oh fuck, you do a good job on a pirate book. Here's the untold story of Blackbeard, and like, ooh,
yeah, you know, like a Waterworld, but better. And I like Waterworld, but yeah, you know, something like that. That would think would be cool. You don't see too many of those. I think Rick Remender did. Did he do one? It was Low underwater. I don't remember now. But you don't see too many that has to deal with the sea, and so I would like that, or something mythological, you know, about the sea. That'd be fun.
It's true.
And actually, Hawaii, there's a lot of cool mythology here that I would like to mine. You don't see much in the way of Hawaiian books. I think Hawaiian Dick, the detective book that came out years ago, they did some stuff with mythology. But I think that's the only one that I know of, except for local books. There's a lot of cool local comic book creators that do stuff. But yeah, I think this is a really rich area to mine, just because there's just so many cool stories about the sea, or about mythology, or just about the people in general. So that's something I would be interested in doing. I like kind of being influenced by the area that you're in, more so than, you know, you asked me about, you know, what inspired you? Was it video game? That stuff doesn't inspire me. It's more about my environment that inspires me.
That's true. I mean, well, your environment always affects your thought process and your thinking and stuff like that. So that is very true. You're in I'm in just a Timbuktu desert in here where it's just hot and you got cactus. Not really inspiring with shit on that one. But then like Hawaii, that's true. You got all sorts of stuff. And I mean, then again, we have dinosaurs. Where's that? That is true. We got that. Yeah. But
dude.
Hawaii, I mean, yeah, you're true. That's true. No one ever talks about mythology of Hawaii. No one ever, I mean, being surrounded by an ocean, there's mystery to that almost. That's maybe why you think about it. There's so much to it.
It's a different way of life.
Yeah.
You know? There's something about it that would be cool to capture in writing. And especially now that I'm here, and I wish I could get out more. The pandemic, you know, right now we're actually in lockdown. You know, only essential businesses are open because the cases were going up. Well, we were out of it because we didn't have that many cases, but then everything opened back up, and you know, we started to get like, you know, 300 cases a day or something, and we only had maybe like 6 or something each day. And where I am in Honolulu, is the most. You know, Hawaii as a whole, most of the other places hardly have any cases. Everything's really concentrated right here in Honolulu.
It's really easy for you guys to be like, hey, nobody come here, because who's going to come there? I mean, unless you got some shipments coming in for supplies.
Yeah, well, you can't come here.
That's it.
You're not allowed.
Yeah, no. Fun story. I was looking. I'm like, man, I want to take a trip to a jungle, because I've been in a Mexico jungle once. I just want to go take a trip. You know, I want to go interact with wildlife I've worked with forever, like monkeys, lizards, all sorts of stuff like that. And my girlfriend's like, yeah, let's go do it. We're looking at it. I forgot what time and period I'm in though, man, because I looked up plane tickets and I'm like, why can't I travel to Costa Rica? Oh shit.
Yeah,
that's like, oh.
I've been to Belize when I was 18, and there was a Save the Rainforest project. So I went out there to Belize, and we were deep in the jungle. And so they had these like little wood houses, and you had to put up these nets when you were sleeping, because they were like thatched roof houses. Yeah. And the scorpions would be up there and they would drop down. So you had to put these nets over you when you were sleeping to prevent them from dropping on you and stinging you.
That sounds cool to me. I don't know why, but that sounds cool.
Oh, it was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it's so different looking, but there was a lot of different wildlife, monkeys and leopards or jaguars or something out there, and the beach was crazy too. I did scuba diving, and there was a barracuda passed right by me, and sharks. And,
Yes. Yes. I mean, well,
So-
that story, that's some good inspiration for a story itself. Like that environment right there. Like, I imagine what if you and I, not separately, or just if you or I spent like a month in a jungle somewhere.
mm,
Think of what we could think of and create through that. Like, I gotta imagine the stories you or I would come up with would just be astounding. Like, what happened? He came out of a jungle for a month, dirty as hell. You know what? He won a bunch of awards. he got a Peabody, he got all sorts of shit. Like,
yeah.
oh really? I'm like, yeah, he's got like a movie coming out next. Who knows? That would be. We just need to get out.
That's what I'm saying. It's your environment and your experiences that really inform the stories, even if it's a genre that isn't real, like fantasy,
Yeah.
Sci-fi stuff. To me, it's more about the experiences the characters are going through, or something that I identify with, or I heard about, or in a place that's similar to where I've been. So.
It's true. Well, good man. I don't want to take too much more of your time. It is kind of getting late for me too. Actually, I think I have to go cook dinner in a little bit because it may be 1 for you. I think it's 1 over by you. Is it 1:00?
Yep. It's 1.
Yeah. Okay. It's about 4 for me. It's been a day. But good man. I do want to say, Markisan, thank you for coming on the show, boss. Like,
sure.
I love having you on here. We could talk for like hours. Really good. But where can people find you on social media, and then also to By the Horn social media? Because you gave me a follow the other day. I'm like, what is this? Oh, definitely following you back.
Oh yeah, we just started this. Well, you can go to markisan.com, my website, and then you can find all the links to everything, my social media, the Metalheads podcast. I've got a store where you can buy voracious stuff there, and we'll have By the Horn stuff there too. For By the Horns, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's just at By the Horns Comic. So just find that, and it's real easy. And we just started the social media, so we're going to be posting some cool things and some drawings Jason's been doing, and we're going to be doing some contests and a lot of cool stuff for the build up to the book. So definitely follow it and get up to date on this cool comic, because we're really excited about it.
I like it, man. I love it. And you mean shit? I'm going to be a loyal follower till I die. Hopefully it's not soon, but you never know. But yeah, thank you, man, for coming on. And it's a blast. It's always fun. I can have you guys on whenever, and if you're willing to come on. But when By the Horns comes out, by the way, too, let me get this on record right now. I'm going to look directly into the camera and into the mic here. Okay. Way on record. I will make a commercial and put it in for you guys when By the Horns comes out.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, like free of charge, everything like that. Don't worry.
All right.
Man,
thank you. Yeah, no, I always have a blast talking to you. Anytime you want me to come on, I'm, Jason, we always love talking to you, Dakota. So we remember the early days.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now
you're
immortalized. Now you're a big man on campus. But
yeah. That had to sound good on mic. No, I'll never feel like that. People are like, oh, big dude. Like, no, the Midwestern kid in me, it's always like, no. They're like, oh, you're the movie star. No, you're the big comic writer. No. Oh, you're the nature guy. No. When technically I should be in marketing. Why, yes. But meanwhile, I'm like, But boss, well, thank you, good man. We'll end the recording here, and to all because I got to tell you about that, because I want your opinion on this. To all the fans out there, thanks everyone, and stay classy, fellow magicians.